All right, welcome in. Welcome back to Learn Finnish with Me, episode 157. I first of all want to apologize that YouTube now no longer allows me to control the translation feature in chat. Or rather, there never was an auto translate feature in the chat. But if you're typing in Finnish in the chat, it shows up as English unless I physically click on it to see the original message. Like Polju, you wrote Ilta, maaliskuu on loppumassa sitten juuri tänään. But Google is already translating it to good evening, March is coming to an end today. And I'm so frustrated because this kind of kills the dynamic that we've had. I mean, it doesn't kill it entirely, but I really enjoy seeing your Finnish sentences and then the challenge to translate them. And then if I can't translate or I want to confirm, we pull it up in Google Translate ourselves. And it used to be the case that, because like when I pop out the chat from YouTube into a separate window, it used to be the case that it was Google Chrome that would translate it. So it was still Google Translate, but it wasn't embedded into the YouTube chat. It was part of like your browser. And so I could turn it off and on there. And sometimes it would automatically turn on. And if you guys remember, there were a few times I was reading chat and y'all were like, how is he reading our Finnish so easily? And y'all called me out on it. And I was like, oh, shoot. I wasn't intentionally cheating, all right? I know you guys know me well enough to know, or for me to know, I wouldn't be able to pull that kind of miracle off, you know? But the one thing YouTube will do, it shows a little translate, the Google Translate symbol before your text. So I can see that it is in some other language. And it's been doing this so annoyingly. I noticed this when I was doing my gaming streams. If people come in and just say hi, it translates it to say this. Like, it's like, not the best. I don't know. It seems like a new feature. I hope they change it. I hope they make it optional. I looked in the YouTube settings to see if I could change something, but it doesn't. I can't find any setting where I can toggle it on or off. But yes, okay, JF, Polju, JF, 27, Lorelei, good to have you all here. And JF, you said, Aprilipäivä huomenna. And I guess, is that the Finnish way of saying April Fools? April Day. Aprilipäivä. April Fool's Day tomorrow. Roses are red, April is gray. The next time you leave your house, it's gonna be May. How many of you guys were doing your taxes today? Tomorrow is the deadline for, in Finland at least, to review and make edits to your pre-completed tax return. So just a reminder to those of you out there. I assume everyone has the same deadline. I don't know. Maybe you're in a different situation, or I don't know the tax authority that well. But for me, the deadline is tomorrow. So that's what I was working on this morning, just to make sure everything is squared away, the accounts are balanced. And Lorelei, you said, moi, muistin, että tänään on tiistai, mutta meinasin unohtaa striimi FI. Wait, you said, I remember that today is Tuesday, but something, I don't know this meinasin, but something about forgetting the stream. I remember that today's Tuesday, but I almost forgot to stream, is what Google wants to translate it as. FI. What does FI mean? Or is that FL? Why is everyone so tired on April 1st? They just finished a 31-day march. 27. Sometimes you're coming in clutch with these good dad jokes. So 27, what were you like in school? Were you this much of a jokester? You know, did you always have clever one-liners, you know, to entertain people. Because I like it. Yeah, at least it shows it's translated. Yeah, Lorelai. That's a good point. So at least I know. So I will do my best. If I see the translate, I will try not to read the English when I glance up, and I'll scroll over it to show the Finnish first. So that's what I'll try to do. FI koska kommentti oli suomeksi. FI because the comment was in Finnish. Oh, so you were putting the FI as an indicator yourself. Ah, okay. Well, it's you don't need to do that, though. If you want to, that's okay. Because yeah, I can see the little translate symbol. I'll use that. But thank you. But yeah. Polyu, your tax deadline is April 21st. Ah, okay. So I guess there are some different deadlines. I wonder how that's decided. Well, you know, that's not the topic of our Learn Finnish today. Tax terminology and tax law. I mean, I would love to meet someone who is like a tax lawyer, but not just any tax lawyer. I want to meet the most passionate tax lawyer. I want to meet someone who is so excited to wake up in the morning to go to work on tax law. I feel like it's surprising what you can learn from people like that, you know? Like, one of the most interesting classes that I took in business school was a course on international trade at the World Trade Center. Not the World Trade Center, the WTO, the World Trade Organization, and how countries are often essentially suing each other at the WTO because, you know, countries are like breaking the rules of trade. And I found it really interesting how the WTO has to sort of adjudicate, you know, who is in the right, who's in the wrong. And then the problem is, how do you punish a country? Like, if a country doesn't want to follow your rules, there's no police you can send to the country to like arrest anyone or anything. You know, it's like, so then there's like a more complex system of is it called like retaliatory tariffs and other measures to punish the country so that they don't break whatever international agreements have been made. But I found that really interesting. But that was it was actually, because it was fun because you don't hear about a lot of these conflicts, but they're very, and the conflicts are often very political, because the reasons that countries break the rules is usually because they're trying to appeal to their domestic political base or whatever, right? They're trying to, for example, protect farmers or some local industry in a way that violates the World Trade Organization agreements of, like, you can't discriminate against particular countries or against particular businesses if those businesses, whatever, pay the tariffs, and they need to be treated equally as the locals. But the locals don't like that. And so then politicians will, like, they'll still, you know, anyways, okay, look, I'm getting carried away. But it's pretty interesting how it all works out. And then counterintuitively, you would think that when the country gets hit with tariffs, that's a bad thing. But it just, in some ways, presents a great opportunity for the politician to go to Brussels and to make a big deal, and then to go back home and to say, hey, look, even though we lost in Brussels, I went there and I stood up for you, and the world is against us, and we're still going to do exactly what we want to do. Screw them. And this resonates with a lot of people, even though it's like illegal, right? It's like you're breaking the rules. Like, everyone has to play by the rules. Why are you special? But people want to feel like they're special. All right, let's spin the frickin' wheel. The wheel of being special. Who is the special grammatical thing that we're going to be studying today? Oh, it's on the line. That was at the last millisecond it crossed the line. Possessive suffixes. Oh, this is hard. But it's level A1. All right, possessive suffixes. Where the heck is it? It's in miscellaneous, it must be, right? Oh, it's literally the last one here. Let's take a look. I'm enjoying these interactive exercises here on Usikielemme. The best time to propose is on April 1st. If they say no, you can just yell, April Fools! Oh, man. This actually reminds me. So I should also say that yesterday was the 10-year anniversary of when I uploaded my first vlog. I made a little community post about it on here on YouTube. So if you want to go read that, I didn't write much there, but just to kind of commemorate, it's our 10-year anniversary of when I uploaded that first vlog, and my first 3 vlogs I made on consecutive days. And I think I continued making a vlog like every weekday for like 2 weeks or something like that. Anyways, the 3rd vlog that I made was on April Fools, and I used it as an opportunity to prank my students. I think the video is like English teacher pranks students or something like this. And I basically recorded Google Translate in the voice, the text to speech thing. And I recorded it as a little video, and I pretended that it was just me interacting with Google Translate on the computer, but it was already a pre-recorded video, so that Google Translate was like making fun of me or something. I don't even remember what actually happened. You could go watch the video. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. My students enjoyed that. It took me a long time to make, though, because I had to record all of it and set it up in a, I had to edit that into a video that then I showed to my students and then film myself doing the prank. I don't know. It was fun. Being a teacher was a lot of fun. What was the milk carton in one of those pictures? I don't even know. I did see that. I don't remember why I had that. I do remember thinking when I first came to Finland that the milk cartons were really well designed. Like, they just looked really nice. Like, they had really good graphical design. And maybe I talked about it in that video, or maybe I was just holding milk and filming myself with it for some reason. I don't know. Hold on, it's getting hot in here. So I will not be taking off my clothes. Turn on my fan. All right, here we go. In spoken Finnish, it's rare to see any possessive suffixes. In this exercise, you're translating a spoken language sentence to its written language alternative. Oh, and I wanted to say thank you to you all. I mentioned it in the post, but I just wanted to say thank you for following along on this channel. 10 years has just flown by. A lot has happened in 10 years, but it's also like, wow, life kind of just disappears, you know? And yeah, I'm really happy that I found a great kind of community on here on YouTube. Even though I haven't been making videos the way I did before, I've really enjoyed live streaming. I think it's been a good fit for me, at least for these past few years, to still be engaged, to be interacting with you guys, and to explore some new things, like making video game live streams and doing, challenge runs in my favorite video game, Stardew Valley. LOL 2000s music. What are you talking about, Lorelei? Am I playing 2000s music in the vlog? Yeah, actually, it's so funny. All that music was like in the early days of when like YouTube had just launched this sort of like free music feature where you could basically pick music from YouTube that then you could put in your videos that you knew was safe and that you wouldn't get demonetized or whatever. And so a lot of vloggers used all the same music. So they there's, if I hear some of those songs, I'm like, oh wow, that really takes me back to that time when I got into vlogging. Oh, the 2000s music. Oh, is the It's Getting Hot in Here song. Okay, that's what the reference was to. Okay, yeah. I was still thinking about the vlog music. All right. So it's rare to see any possessive suffixes in spoken Finnish. In this exercise, you're translating a spoken language sentence to its written language alternative. Okay. So, for example, you say mun nimi becomes nimeni. Can't you also say minun nimeni, right? Note that you don't include words like minun or meidan in this exercise, though I'm pretty sure it's still correct to say minun nimeni on, right? It feels really redundant to say that, but I think it's still correct in written Finnish to do that. You have a Finnish music video that has a song about life going by. Oh man, it does fly by. Correct but redundant, yes. Not all redundancy is bad, right? Like in engineering, you want to have lots of redundant systems so that if one fails, the whole system doesn't fail. But in language, redundancy tends to be kind of awkward. I mean, I say in language, but in English especially, I feel like when you repeat the same word multiple times in a sentence or in a paragraph, it just sounds off. It sounds off. I don't know. So that's one of the things I notice if I'm like editing to try and avoid, or writing. Mun auto on rikki. My car is broken. So here we would say autoni on rikki. Boom. Mun kotimaa on kaukana Suomesta. My home country is far from Finland. So here we would say kotimaani on kaukana Suomesta. Mun äidinkieli on saksa. My mother tongue is German. Oops. Äidin kieleni? Yeah. Sun sisko on kaunis. Your sister is beautiful. Siskoni on kaunis. Oh wait, it's your sister. Well, I don't remember the endings for. Is it siskosi? I just guessed because I never use these endings except when I'm talking about me. Minu nimini. That's the only one I know. Well, we're gonna find out what I know here. Meidän lapsi ei tule kouluun tänään. Our kid does not something to school today. Ei tule is not coming to school today. Is it lapsemme? What about one M? What if it's this? Lapsemme. Lapsemme ei tule kouluun tänään. Meidän talossa asuu 7 perhettä. Talossamme. Oh, I gotta translate it. Our, like in our building, there live or reside 7 families. Talossamme asuu 7 perhettä. Teidän koti on Vihtyissä. Your home is something. I don't know this. I don't know that word. Let's translate it with the Wiktionary. Cozy. Tapiola on vihtyissä asuinalue. Yeah, that's... You... I mean, get out of here with it. Who wrote this? Huh? Someone from Tapiola. the propaganda of people from Tapiola. Anyways, your home is cozy. Oh, okay, I don't know. I don't know what happens with Koti if it goes to an E. I don't think so. That was a good guess. Kotite. Maybe it's kotette. No. What if it becomes a long I? No. I'm not gonna get it, am I? Because is it is it like something like this? Like, you know, something... I feel like this is the third person, though. Not second person. Yes, but what is the ending for te? That's what I don't know. Usually this will have like a list, right? It doesn't say which one this is. It's just saying how you form them. It's not showing me. Hanen, okay, sinun, teiran. It just becomes NN. Let's try that. Let's try that then. Like that. Kotinne. There we go. See, we found it. We found it. Mun housut on liian pitkät. My pants are too long. Oh, what? This is plural, so how do I take this and then add the ending? It can't be housutni, right? That's ridiculous. Does it do something like that? Housunti? Housut. Housuini. Huh? What happens in plural? Let's take a look at that. It's just showing how to form the possessive suffixes. Well, it put me in the middle of the page when we clicked over here. The usage... The inflection of words with a possessive suffix, right? Ah, yes, here we go. So if it's nominative plural, you just drop the T. So it's the same. It's the same as the singular. Oh, Sony. Boom. That's logic. All right. I'm the Sherlock Holmes of the Finnish language. Hey, Kaimo, what's up? Welcome in. Oh, Sutni, my pants? What? Why, Polyu, why did you find that funny? Imo, good morning. How are you? You wrote morning, but YouTube wants to translate it as I'm so happy. See, this is so stupid. Why is Google Translate just translating anything? And Zio, what's up? Welcome in. The T being extra. Just got a short haircut the other day, and you're gonna dye it teal tonight. Oh, cool. That's exciting. I've never dyed my hair, but there's a part of me that wants to do it, you know? I don't know what color I'd go with, or if I could just go with like white, like just snow white hair. Don't got Japanese class today, so can actually follow your Finnish stream. All right, well, welcome in. You're gonna get pizza soon, 27. you got your toppings ordered. Mun kotimaassa puhutaan arabia. In my home, we speak Arabic, or I guess it would be more like Arabic is spoken. Whoa. How do I do this? Hold on, let's go back here. So for example, if we're using this missa form, right? Autossa becomes autossani. Okay, we just add it at the end. Hey, come on, don't cross it out yet. I wasn't done yet. Don't tell me I'm wrong. I hadn't selected my answer yet. Boom. Kotimassani puhutaan arabia. Sun vaatteet on pesussa. Hold on. Your clothes are in the wash? Vaatteeni. Nope. Oh, you can show solution. Oh, it's your clothes. That's why. Vaatteesi. No, I don't want to retry. I don't want to like delete it all. So it was, yeah. I just put the wrong ending. I translated from English correctly, but then from Finnish into English correctly, but then I just didn't, think. I just want to put everything with the NI ending. You want to find a green that works with your skin color, Lorelei, like for your hair. For your hair when it gets too gray for you. Not gray yet. It's a semi-permanent dye, so it washes out eventually. And not gonna lie, it's because I want to copy my favorite saxophonist, Leo P, from Too Many Zoos. He also dyes it pink. I'm gonna get pink and a few others later. Oh, okay. Pretty cool. I have to look up this band. Too Many Zoos. And this the saxophonist Leo P. Kotima is home country. Oh, did I mistranslate this? Oh no, I don't know what I said. Maybe I said just in my home, but yeah, in my home country we speak Arabic. Yeah, I think I was thinking this was just in someone's personal home, like a Koti. Thanks for catching that. Leo P also plays with Moon Hooch, and lately he's been in a duo with a girl, and they play by Too Saxy. What? Oh. All the words in this exercise get the suffix ni. The main focus here is how these words change when you add the possessive suffix to them. Check here for the rules if you don't know the answer. All right. So yeah, we're adding just the first person singular ending. Kirja becomes kirjeni on pöydällä, right? My book is on the table. Vaimo, that means wife. Vaimoni on sairas, my wife is sick. Mies, mieheni. on työpaikalla. My husband is at work. Makuhuone. What? Is this the... Wait, maku. Why do I feel like this is a taste? Maku is a taste. Is it the tasting room? Or some type of room. Huone is a room. And it's on toisessa kerroksessa. It's on the second floor. Maku. Huo. Boom, I got it. I hesitated, but I got it. Tyttö, the girl. Or would this, in this case, my girl? Is this is this like my girlfriend, or is this more like my daughter? Which one? Tyttöni. This can't be right. That is right. Okay. Tyttöni täytti juuri 7. Something something almost 7. So this must be like my daughter is almost 7 years old. That's what I think this means, right? It's more like daughter in most cases. Yeah, if your girlfriend turns 7, there is a problem. Well, unless you're also 7 years old. You know? But yeah. In this context, But apparently it can be used kind of for both. I mean, in English, yeah. You can use it in all sorts of contexts. You could refer to your dog as your girl, you know? There's that whole meme, like, I don't know if you guys watch any of these Instagram reels. I get lots of dog content, which I'm happy about. I'm not happy about a lot of the other stuff I get served, but the dog stuff, there's almost like it's a trend now. Girls with girl dogs are filming their dog with their boyfriend. And the dog loves the boyfriend more than them. And they're jealous of their dog. And there's one video of this older guy with this tiny little dog, and he's talking so sweet to it, calling it my girl, and the dog is growling at the girl filming. Oh, it's so funny. Dogs. Lautanen, which is a plate. Oh, I don't know. Hold on. Lautaseni. Boom. Lautaseni on täynnä ruokaa. My plate is full of food. Kirje is a letter. Did I miss? Oh yeah, I didn't translate this earlier. Or I translated it incorrectly. Yeah, I said the book, right? It's kirja is a book, but kirje is a letter. So thanks for catching that, Zio. And yeah, kirja equals book. And maku versus maku. Maku is the lying down room. Oh, okay, I have heard this. Okay, I do recognize this now, because when you're searching for apartments, you know, and you see the floor plan of the apartment, you'll often see this abbreviation of MH, and that's the bedroom. The makuhuone. The lying down room. Differences like that have you terrified to say the wrong thing in another language, Kaimo? Yeah. You love doggos. Your doggos love your boyfriend, even though he's kind of distant and definitely prefers his cats. You get on him sometimes to give them more pats. Perhe. Perheni. My family on Hyvin pieni is very small. Lapsi. Lapseni. Lapseni on päiväkodissa tänään. My child is in daycare today. Right? Päiväkoti. Wait, there's like, it's very close to like kotipäivä versus päiväkoti. They're different things, right? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up. Is kotipäivä a thing? No, maybe it's not a thing. What am I thinking of? There's like daycare and home care or something like that. Yeah, päiväkoti is daycare. What am I trying? I confuse this with something else. Or päiväkoti is a nursery school. The common translation kindergarten is actually incorrect, as päiväkoti refers to an educational institution for small children who not yet have begun primary school, peruskoulu, or even esikoulu. In Finland, esikoulu is a closer correspondence to kindergarten, at least in the US. Wait, hold on. Esikoulu, with literally preschool, is a closer correspondence to kindergarten, since it refers to an educational institution for children, normally between 6 and 7 years old, the last year before beginning primary school. Yeah, okay. My understanding in America, and I'm sure it differs by state or whatever, but like, okay, what is it? Elementary school begins when you're like 6 years old. You're turning 7 years old. Before that, you have kindergarten, which may or may not be required or whatever, but it's the year before first grade. You're in kindergarten. But kindergarten's only 1 year. Before kindergarten, you have preschool. But preschool, and my understanding is that preschool and kindergarten happen at kinds of educational institutions. It's not like a daycare where you're there just to play and to be sort of watched. You're not really being taught anything necessarily. You're still maybe too young, or the daycare just doesn't focus on any of like the more educational aspects. In Sweden, esikoulu refers to what is essentially the same institution as that called päiväkoti in Finland, while that called esikoulu in Finland is called esikoululuokka in Sweden. What? Päiväkoti technically refers only to the educational institution, but is very commonly used for the stage of education, which is more correctly called varhaiskasvatus in informal contexts. Wow. Did not realize we were going to get this I'm not criticizing the writing here, but I feel even more confused. It's a complex web of terminology that I'm like, wait, in Finland and Sweden and US. Hold on. Okay, let me come back to you guys. Kotihoito. Maybe that's what it is. And Google translates it as domiciliary care. But it's sort of like home care. But I don't know. Daycare, preschool, kindergarten. Your girlfriend poked you in the eye, so unfortunately you stopped seeing her for a while, 27. That's one way. That's one way. Learning new stuff here too. You've been translating päiväkoti as kindergarten all this time. Wait, maybe I'm confused because, wait, how am I supposed to translate difficulty? So esikolu is kindergarten. And that's closer to kindergarten. And päiväkoti is like preschool. But okay, here's a question. Is there another word for daycare in Finnish? Is it päivähoito? Yeah, maybe this is it. Esikoulu and kindergarten is with the T, right? And päiväkoti. So yeah, Google wants to translate it as päiväkoti. Though esikoulu is better for kindergarten. Okay, look, it's not the most important thing. Though we are trying to get to the bottom of this. And Miki, welcome in. Good to have you here. You thought päiväkoti was just daycare. I guess, I mean, I don't have kids, and so I don't really know what these institutions are like, or like with the differences in all these things. Like, I know, because, okay, here it's saying that if you're sending a kid, or an infant, essentially, from 1 year old, you send them to daycare, right? But also, terms in English can be used differently around the world. So I don't want to say, oh, kindergarten is this or that. All I can say is I know at least where I grew up in the US, kindergarten is the year before you start school. And preschool is before kindergarten. And maybe preschool can also be daycare. I'm not sure about that, though. Because I remember when I first went to a kind of preschool, it was like a Montessori school. It was actually a really cool school. It's one of the Montessori school is like it's very self-directed. So kids are given sort of little projects. And then you can decide what project you want to work on and when, or just what activity you want to do. And there's just tons of little puzzles and games, and so the teachers are there to kind of direct, but there isn't like a curriculum. You aren't put in desks. I mean, there is a curriculum, but it's not like you're in desks being taught everything all at once, the way it is later on. And so, yeah, but I would think that is preschool. I never would think of Montessori school as a daycare. I feel like daycare is something that doesn't involve teaching. I mean, I just said Montessori school. They don't really teach you that way, but they do teach you. Like, it is an educational, like, model. But yeah, I feel like päiväkoti is daycare. Perhehoito. What? Family care. What do you call playing Fortnite during the day? Daycare? Wait. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to understand the play on words here. Fortnite. Fortnite. Is the joke simply that obviously there's night in it, right? And now you've changed it to day, but also that the age of the people playing Fortnite are really young children, or mentally and maybe they are of age, but they are emotionally toddlers still. And Kaimo, you posted a picture of some art that you did in the Discord. I'm gonna have to check it out. Here, I'll look real quick. I'm not gonna pull it up on the stream, but yeah. You made a bucket hat for the first time. Nice. Wait, is that a bucket hat? Oh, you made a chef's hat instead. Oh, okay. I was like, that's my understanding of a bucket hat is being broken. But no. Okay, you made a chef's hat. Very nice. Cool. Okay, hold on. Look, I'm getting distracted. You guys are distracting me. I'm supposed to be doing these exercises. Asunto, that's an apartment or a residence. I think asunto really can only refer to an apartment in an apartment building, right? Or can it refer to any type of home? Like if you live in a detached house. Let's look it up. Home, residence, yeah, dwelling. So it's very broad. But it can also refer specifically a flat and apartment. The most common English translation is simply home, although note that home in any sentimental sense, or in the sense of the place where someone lives, is koti, not asunto. In official use, the term unit or dwelling may be used. I'm an absolute unit. Residence may also be used, but it carries a somewhat formal tone. What carries a formal tone? The word residence? Residence sounds too... Are they trying to say that residence sounds too formal for asunto? I don't think residence is a formal term. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Asuntoni. Asuntoni on usein sotkuinen. My apartment or residence is often dirty. Wait, no. Likainen is dirty. Sotkuinen, does this mean clean? Is it the opposite? Messy. Messy. Well, what's clean? Oh, whoops, hold on. Puhras. Or siisti, that's the one I've learned. Siisti. All right. Yeah, sotkuinen is not dirty, but just messy. My home or... Yeah, my home is often messy. Asuntoni. $27, or is it just that they have something to do at daytime? Ah, okay. See, your big brain. All of my brain power has been drained by the Finnish language. Adding these possessive suffixes to Finnish words. But yeah, daycare is Fortnite for these people. Kaimo, you tried to do a bucket hat, but got the measurements off, and it looks more like a chef hat instead. But it's fine, because it has tacos, burritos, chili, lime, etc. all over it. So it still works as a chef hat. It looks good. You had like the cooking utensils at the ready as well. Yeah, messy sotkuinen. Or sotku. Zio, you appreciate 27's humor. It's good. Usually. Nimeni on Yanatam. What? Is this Jonathan? Yanatam? Is that how you say... Or wait, how would you even pronounce this? Would you be like Uanatam? Uanatam. Obviously, this is not a Finnish name, right? This has to be like... Maybe this is Jonathan in some other language, right? Maybe it's like Hungarian or something. I don't know. Avine. Avine. Nope. Avimeni. Oh yeah, I know that avine is a weird word. Avine. A key. Avimeni on hukassa. I don't know, what does hukassa mean? Hukassa. An adverb meaning lost. I mean, I guess we could have guessed that. But I feel like I've learned the word for lost. And it's not that. Are there other synonyms? Sometimes they put synonyms on here, but they don't. Lost. Well, actually, let me try here. Karonnut. This is the one I recognize. Or actually, I also recognize a bunch of these. Menetetty or exunut. This one I recognize. But an unohtanut is more like forgotten. But yeah. Neuvoton. Oh, that's a weird word. Irresolute. All right. Are we going to do another? Hissing at languages that consider Y a J sound? What do you mean? What do you mean? My name has a Y in it, all right? But it's not really a J sound there. It's more like just an I. Tyler. Yes. Yeah. Ty. It does have a Y sound, kind of Tyler. Like yes. The Y is a Y sound, all right? That's how it always was and forever will be. Look, it's in the Bible, all right? Look it up. If Jesus' name was Jesus, then he would have spelled it with a Y and not a J, okay? That's how it is. Make the Bible great again. Take the noun between brackets and inflect it in the inessive case, the asmisa form, and add the required possessive suffix to this form. Oh, this is going to take like an hour to do this. Oh my god. We have to put it in this. So, as an example or a model, repussani on kolme kansiota. Reppu is my backpack, right? In my backpack, there are 3 somethings. I don't know what this is. Kansiota. Kansio. Folders. Oh man, do you guys remember having binders? And how the metal pieces would get broken and they would get misaligned and your papers would tear out? Do kids still use that? I haven't been a teacher in so long. And I never taught like lower grades, you know, but I guess the binder stuff is really more common as you get a bit older, right? Like I remember in middle school and high school getting a binder. Do you guys remember that? What it was? Do you remember what it felt like on the first day of school when you maybe you started a new school or you were starting like the next grade, you know, and you were a completely new teacher and you would be there with your school materials, right? You would have like your little notebook and your binder. I remember always having a bit of, I think everybody probably had a little bit of like anxiety, you know, where you're like, you're just sort of bracing yourself. You don't know what's going to happen. And you're like, do I have everything that I need? Is the teacher, I was always afraid the teacher would get really mad at me. But that was because the teachers often did get really mad at me. I but not because I forgot my materials. I was actually a really I was going to say thoughtful, but that's not the right word. I wasn't a clumsy or forgetful kid. um I usually always had my things, you know. But I just remember that feeling of like going to school and like being kind of terrified that you're going into the unknown, and there's like a lot of new kids that you don't know, and there's that feeling of like, oh my god, like how am I going to keep track of all of this? And then the teacher is like, write this down, do this and that. And sometimes the teachers are like there. I went to a lot of schools with teachers who were very like authoritative, you know. I went to these very authoritarian schools, so the teachers they would like try to scare you on the first day, you know. Maybe not like intentionally like be scared, but they would be like, don't mess around with me, essentially, right? They want to set the tone, like you just entered a prison and they're like the gang leader, you know. They have to make a statement. It's like, man, get you in line. I don't know why, but it's so fun to think back to those times and to like really put myself in my shoes from when I was a little kid and how different life felt back then. That was, and how something as simple as like you're in school in a class that should be designed for you, yet it feels like you're the one who needs to please and do all the right thing. I don't know, it feels like you're there for the teacher, not the other way around, or at least that's how I felt. I felt like, I don't know. Wiktionary says Neuvoton is helpless. Can Tyler guess what TV show is called Salaiset Kansiot in Finnish? Some type of files. Is that... Wait, what does Salainen mean? Is that the X-Files? That's the only TV show I can think of that has files in the name. The X-Files. You had the same teacher from 1st to 6th grade. Yeah, that's very common here in Finland, right? That's usually how it goes. Whereas I always had a different teacher every year. And I wish it was a blessing, because I mean, but it turned out just to be one nightmare after the next. All of my teachers were so mean. Yeah. It's a shame. I think it's such a shame when I look back at that, because like what I learned as a teacher is that the more that you can make learning fun, the more that kids will learn. I mean, of course there's a certain point where if you're just having too much fun, you're not learning anything, right? But like, man, I had teachers in elementary school who viewed fun as, you know, of the devil, right? It's just Satan. It's just Satan trying to teach these kids how to be disobedient to their elders. Like, quite literally, I'm not even exaggerating. I had teachers that really believed in like demonic powers controlling our minds through Pokemon cards. I guess the Pokemon cards got to me because I'm no longer a part of that kind of cult. But yeah, it's a there were some nice teachers at the schools, but I never had them. And I was so sad. You know what? I have a theory. I have a theory that when we switched schools, I think my brother is 2 years older than me. He got all the nice teachers. Because when parents are deciding on a school for their kids, it's typically because of like the oldest child, right? The oldest child is starting middle school or starting high school, right? Those were the times whenever we switched schools. It would be when my brother was kind of graduating. Not always, because we did move around for other reasons. But I think schools kind of know that they need to put the oldest kid with the nice teacher. and then put the second kid with just whoever, right? Put the middle child. There has to be a study on this. There has to be. I mean, it would be so easy to like to check. Are children equally distributed among classes? Like if you have an older, but then I guess you would have to know if the teacher is nice or not. How would you be? How would you know? How would you figure that out? You'd have to ask the kids or the parents, you know. But everyone knows. Everyone knows. I bet, yeah. Um, Lorelai, your brain is being broken by Google Translate. American schools seem terrifying for kids. Yeah. Yeah. It, but in a weird way, it's almost like if you go to like people who go to prison and enjoy being in prison more than being free. I don't know if it's that's an oversimplification, I'm sure, but there's a lot of people who kind of get institutionalized and they find a place in prison. Even if prison really sucks in a lot of ways, they have a position in the prison where they feel comfortable, right? And they get used to the routine. They get used to having guards and all of that, you know? And almost it can form some camaraderie with the other inmates because it's you guys against the world, you know? And I think there's a little bit of that as well for us as kids when we were in these basically prisons. I mean, I think that is probably a bit of an exaggeration to call it a prison, you know. But yeah, it was. We had some teachers whose teaching methodology, it probably had more in common with prison guards than, I don't know, with the best practices espoused by, you know, educational experts in the scientific literature on learning and pedagogy. But yeah, I got used to it. You know, I got used to it and whatever. Kids are really adaptable. When I look back at that, I'm really impressed that like I managed it. I feel like I was better at managing difficult situations as a little kid than I am now. I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm more rigid, I'm more inflexible, you know, mentally, emotionally. As a kid, I was like, just throw it at me, you know. Oh, whatever. Fourth grade teacher, you know, you have no idea how bad my third grade teacher was. You're a walk in the park, you know, compared. It was, you know, that's kind of what it was like for me, I guess. But I wasn't that much of a troublemaker. I was more of like the first mate, the lieutenant to the class clown or the troublemaker. You know, I was never directly the troublemaker. But I was an encourager. I encouraged the chaos. But I actually enjoyed learning. Like that's something I've always known like about myself, that I just love learning things just for the sake of learning it. I think the world is so interesting, and the fact that we figured out all these things like mathematics and physics, and literature, like it's so cool. So it's so fun. It's fun to learn. I've always had that feeling, and that's what drew me to becoming a teacher. And I think what also made me a good teacher, or at least you could say it was one of my strengths as a teacher. I don't want to say I was like a better than average teacher, but I had a better than average ability in this area of making learning fun. There is a video of a crazy American teacher ranting about Harry Potter and black magic. Wait, what? Oh, and I'm coming back to you guys. It was the X-Files. Okay, so I did guess it correct. The Sex Files is the other show, says 27. Yeah, that's not available on your normal broadcast television. That's a you got to pay extra for that. Salainen is secret. Ah, okay. So the secret files. Salaiset kansiot. Yeah. Pokemon over crappy teachers and nonsense superstition. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy that the teachers really believed that. I mean, it was a time when people, I mean, I'm sure I I don't want to suggest that we aren't past this. Humans are still just as capable of believing in these things, but like, I mean, the teachers genuinely believed that Satan was working through Pokemon to corrupt children into believing in evolution. That was the big fear. And also Harry Potter. Harry Potter would teach children to practice witchcraft. Because the adults genuinely believed not that you could do the spells from the book, obviously, but that it was possible to perform witchcraft, that witchcraft actually existed, because whatever, it's in the Bible somehow, or like, I don't know, right? Either you were an outcast in a clique or a loner wolf. And that's why I think, in many ways, despite the kind of schools I went to, I do feel really fortunate that I always had friends. And I never felt like I was an outcast. Uh, in our schools, there wasn't much bullying. And maybe there were cliques, but all the schools I went to were quite small. So the cliques could never really form very well. So despite everything, I feel like I was quite lucky. And I think I was also just lucky to be born with my personality. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like I feel like I was naturally quite uh outgoing, and so I never, I don't know. It was easier for me to have friends than maybe for a lot of people, at least at that time in life. Nowadays, I don't know anymore. All right. I've I've been through a lot in life. All right. My whatever personality advantage I had as a young boy, it is now uh I don't know what word to use, but well, no, actually, I mean, in a way, it extends even to like this YouTube channel, right? The fact that I started a YouTube channel, I wasn't afraid of putting myself out there, making a fool of myself, being ridiculous, and it's connected me to so many people on the internet. And even in real life, I've like had important connections through that came about because maybe people saw my YouTube channel and that started a conversation, and you know and then also, of course, yeah, it's deepened my love and appreciation for Finland. It's been a critical part of my integration experience, my journey into Finland. So I think it's definitely still there, but I am more introverted in a lot of ways. But I also feel like my theory is I think as kids we are just naturally more extroverted as when we're younger, because we have this deep desire to play as kids, right? Like it's a need. It's not just something you enjoy doing when you have time for it. As an adult, it's easier to compartmentalize, As a kid, it's like everything is just about play and having fun with other kids. Or at least that was my experience. So I think, yeah, when you're a kid, you're more naturally extroverted, and then it becomes easier to become introverted as an adult as well, because nobody's available to play. Everybody decided to, get a job and get married and have kids. Lame. Like make a positive contribution to society or something. I don't know. Yeah. But no, no, it's yeah, as you get older, man, it's harder to see friends and uh but you know. Hey DV, what's up? Welcome in. Yeah, d at the same time, jail is definitely much worse. Yeah, definitely much worse than going to school. That's why I was like, yeah, it's not really a fair comparison. But in many ways, I feel like the teachers approached education as a corrective system, and not just like by coincidence. Like it's part of the ideology of the schools that I went to that a child is full of sin. Children are naturally full of sin. And when they are playing too much or they are when they aren't obeying the adults perfectly, that's a sign that that's part of our fallen nature as humans. Like this is the ideology that's taught in church and is held to in the school, right? They really believe that children are full of sin, and that if a children misbehaves, it's not like it's not considered natural. Like it's not considered part of their cognitive development. It's viewed as something that we have to, you know, uh, we have to punish. It's like there's this idea that there's a truer human out there, right? There's this truer human that never experiences negative emotions or never experiences as a child, disobedience, right? That the perfect child would never disobey their parents and all of this other stuff. And it's like, well, it's an ideology. It's completely disconnected from observed reality of, you know, cognitive development. But yeah, so that was also part of the problem of why the teachers were so mean, is they really felt that it was justified. They really felt that you were a sinful, bad person, and not only was it just for them to punish you harshly, but that it was also the compassionate thing, right? That they are punishing you severely out of love. And a lot of the teachers really believed that as well. That's also what made it really messed up. And you know, it's a messed up thing to grow up feeling like the what is it, the primary form of love you receive as a child is punishment, right? Punishment for just wanting to play and have fun with your friends, like you weren't even doing anything that bad but you weren't perfectly obeying the adults. Yeah, I don't know, I don't want to characterize it like all I was always punished, but yeah, that is one of my main criticisms of the culture I grew up in, and especially the influence of religion and religious superstition, and why I don't really respect religious ideas, or like, I don't know, in this particular case. Obviously, not all religious people are going to behave this way, but yeah, the Bible is not a good source of information or even inspiration for how to live, how to live your life, how to build a good life. I really believe that, and from my lived experience as well. Though I do understand, like, people can find a meaningful life despite that. I don't want to knock anything. If someone does find a lot of good stuff out of the Bible, I don't have anything against that. It just gets tricky when you start forming social systems, and like that's where it starts to get really messed up. And especially as children, you don't have a choice. You just grow up in it, and you're subject to all of these these rules. It's almost like growing up in a cult, right? Because when you're a child, you can't leave, right? It's not in your nature as a child to leave. So yeah, it's very strange. But yeah. Wait, Kaimo, so glad I never stayed longer than a few days. So you've been to jail, but a 100% false charge once got you in the clink for 3 days before you were released for lack of evidence. And the conditions were deplorable. Oh, wow. Dude, I'm so sorry to hear that, Kaimo. Wait, what country is that in? I can't remember if you were in Brazil, or I know one of my viewers was from Brazil. For some reason, I associate that. I know especially like prisons in Latin America are insane. Like, I watched enough Prison Break. Do you remember that TV show Prison Break? There's like, isn't there a prison that's just run by the prisoners, and the guards just, or is that a fictional thing that they invented for TV? Why? The line is blurred for me. Where like the prison is so bad that they just let the prisoners run it. And they just keep a compound of basically soldiers outside the prison to make sure nobody leaves. That to me is insane. But yeah. American adults actually believed in witchcraft. Oh yeah. Still do. Maybe not the majority, I don't really know, but the kinds of adults I grew up around, yeah. If we're gonna arm the teachers, all I ask is that the librarians get silencers. You love me being ridiculous. Thanks for that, Lorelai. Kaimo, you're in California, so I can only imagine the conditions people held in, say, in the backwoods of Florida or other various southern states. Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, so that was in the U.S. Yeah. Yeah, the US has a huge problem. Like, the US incarcerates more of their people, the higher percentage of their people than any other country in the world. It's like, man, it's very problem. And it's also very expensive. And it's not effective either. Lorelai, you're autistic and introverted and had to be adopted by other kids, or you'd just be alone. You know, in a way, you know, I'm talking myself up like I'm this cool, confident, you know, little 6-year-old, like, yeah, what's up, guys? No, I do remember my first day of 3rd grade at this new school, and there was one kid who came up to me, and he was like, hey, I'm AJ, what's your name? And me and AJ were friends from that moment, man. He was like broski, you know? AJ. He was, yeah. But yeah. It's funny how you remember those things. Like this one, because he came up and became my friend before I reached out to anybody. I think, well, I was new to the school, and I think he had already been there. Like, it wasn't like all the kids were brand new. I was switching. This was at the time when we switched from going to Catholic schools to private, Christian, non-denominational, evangelical Christian schools. And that was when I went to the school of a televangelist. A televangelist who made millions and millions of dollars producing his sermons as a TV show, broadcasting about how the end times are coming and how Russia and Israel are predicted in the book of Daniel and Revelation. And, you know, it's like there's all of these metaphors from those books. There's imagery in those books that he was tying to current political events. And it was very popular, especially with a lot of old religious people who then would send donations to the church. So the church was super rich. And so then he built this school. and I went to this, it wasn't like an elite, ultra rich school though. All the money, funnily enough, all the money went to building this insane football stadium because the preacher was huge into football, and he built this incredible football stadium for this tiny little Christian school. And then he recruited really good athletes from Africa. And the school got banned from the private association, the League of Private Schools, because you're not supposed to be recruiting kids for athletics or like he like turned the school into a boarding school for elite football players essentially, and basketball players. Like one of our players, when I started there was a high schooler who went on to be a really good NBA basketball player. What was his name? He was, all I remember is he was super tall, and he was from Chihuahua, Mexico. If you look that up, you'll find out his name. Like if you just Google, he's like the most famous basketball player from Chihuahua. But yeah, he went to the school as well. But yeah, not they got banned. They got banned. There's a, you know, with those televangelists, they don't pay any taxes, you know, so they got to spend the money on something. But yeah, okay, hold on. I'll catch up on chat, and then I need to probably wrap up the stream here in a few minutes. You're very jealous of the truly rehabilitative types of jails in European countries. Yeah. That is a good question, and I started reading a good philosophy book by Martha Nussbaum called Justice for Animals, which, you know, being vegan, I'm really glad to read a philosophy book about animal rights and what is justice for animals. How do we conceptualize that? And she briefly mentions like prisons and then like the need for justice, and how in many ways retributive justice doesn't have a philosophical basis, even though it has like a very strong emotional basis. That like someone can commit a really terrible crime, but you know, what is it like, executing that person as a form of justice doesn't do any good, right? Or at least she briefly mentioned this. It wasn't like the thrust of the argument. But yeah, I don't know, it's tough. It's really, because there are people that do really horrific things. Like, oh, it's yeah. And then, yeah. Wait, it's still a fair enough comparison, though, yeah, because American schools, especially for the poor, are basically just mini jails, cutesy jails, and make it clear we either conform or be useful or go to jail for real. I do remember before I moved to Finland, I had also visited a few American schools, and the schools that I went to were some charter schools. And the charter schools are like publicly funded schools that are like private in a way. I don't remember the exact classification, but basically these charter schools have a lot more freedom in how they treat the students and what curriculum they implement. And it was pretty crazy. Like it was very formal. Like the teachers all had to wear ties, and the students were all in their uniforms, and the students would march through the hallway in a single file line behind the teacher. And it was very like militaristic. I don't know. I felt so out of place when I was there. And I was kind of like interviewing for a job as well. I don't know. It was just kind of weird. It was like, yeah. I'll say briefly that one of the things that drew me to Finland was visiting the schools in Finland and seeing the much more diplomatic, respectful relationships that the students and the teachers had for each other. That teachers had a lot more respect for student autonomy and for student feelings. And students had a lot more freedom. I remember this distinctly when the principal was walking me through the school, and a group of like maybe 5th grade girls stopped the principal, and they were really upset about something, and I didn't understand what it was because it was all in Finnish. But then I asked the principal later, And she was like, oh yeah, yeah, sometimes the students will, will say that because they were upset that they got a new class schedule, and the schedule now splits their friend group apart, and they were really upset about that and wanted to let me know. So we'll see what we can do about it. I don't know if there's a solution, but it's important to listen to the kids. I was like, whoa, that would never happen in the schools I went to. And if you even attempted to do that, that was insubordination. Like it wasn't just that, oh, you were being polite in voicing your opinion. It'd be like, no, like, shut up, you do as you're told. We're the teachers and we know better than you, so don't waste our time. you know that's kind of the schools I went to, unfortunately. I mean, maybe I know I'm probably making it sound like really horrible, and certainly wasn't always like that for every student or every situation. But yeah, there was no there was it was a very different atmosphere. So that was one of the things when I came to Finland. I was like, wow, the schools here are the kind of schools I would like to teach at. And Mirabelle, what's up? Welcome in. You're asking if there are people living in Kouvola or close by following me right now. Oh, and you're curious because the drones. Yes, there were two drones that crashed recently. At least one of them was confirmed Ukrainian, assuming the other one was also from Ukraine. Um, but apparently, at least what I saw in the news, is that the reason they were in Finnish territory was due to like Russian electronic jamming of the whatever the communication or the Jeep, the I don't know, the whatever systems are on board for these drones. But yeah, it's kind of like it's a scary time of escalating conflict. It's not good. Peace is so much better. If you think about how much of our resources are just being wasted on military and on fighting and on destroying things, it's just it's a shame that yeah, diplomacy and peace produce prosperity, right? You need to have stability, and this kind of time is really, really tough. So even here in Finland, we're seeing it. JS, luckily you had no religion pushed on you as a child, had the freedom to form your own opinion. Yeah, and I guess on some level, I kind of wonder if it really matters. I mean, of course it matters, but like on some level, I still turned out to be a non-believer, despite all of the brainwashing I went through and all of the peer pressure. Like despite all of that, I was like, no, I'm not believing this. This is ridiculous. Come on, guys. like, you know, uh, like on some level, I don't know. People are kind of going to turn out how they turn out. But obviously, I don't know. Religion does have a lot of influence and power over your, I don't know how you're shaped. But one of my friends told me that he was thankful for having grown up Christian, even though he's not a believer either anymore, because he said he felt that it taught him to be a good person. And I was like, I don't agree with that, because I was like, dude, you are genuinely one of the nicest people I've ever met. I think you are naturally that way. I think you would have turned out to be a great person regardless. Like what, and as a counterpoint, I know plenty of people, well, maybe not plenty, but just because you grow up Christian doesn't mean you're going to be a good person. There's plenty of horrible people, right? Who received all the same instruction, all of the same catechisms and moral teachings and Bible memory verses, and they still grow up to be liars and cheats, thieves, scoundrels, murderers, So it's kind of like, I don't know. I just don't, maybe I'm like, I don't think religion does as much good as I don't know, religious people want to give it credit. But that's just my view. Am I celebrating Easter already? No. No, why did you ask? Oh yeah, and JS, prisons as private big businesses also really messed up. Yeah, I've seen some documentaries about some of that stuff, and yeah. You lost almost 20 pounds in 3 days, Kaimo, due to the conditions in the jail. Oh, oh wait, hold on. Mirabel yrittää pyyhkiä kursoria pois, kun se näyttää kärpäsen paskalta. Wait, what? Paska means like crap, right? Immediately tries to wipe the cursor away when it looks like fly shit. Wait, what? I don't know. America's still in some ways the Wild West, unfortunately. Yeah. Are there more foreigners in Finnish prisons than actual Finns? No. Certainly not, no. No, I'm pretty positive that in uh, statistically, immigrants in Finland, if that's what you mean by foreigners, like people who are legally residing in Finland, not just like tourists, um, like are less likely to be incarcerated than native-born Finns. The majority of prisoners are so-called kantasuomalaisia. Is that, yeah? That's like native Finn. But yeah, and welcome in. I don't know if I recognized everyone when you guys came in, but yeah, Helion and JS, others. If I didn't shout you out personally, I apologize. Good to have you here. You and your boyfriend both were raised by religious people and ended up as non-believers. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like uh, people kind of turn out the way they turn out, regardless. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but I think maybe that's also because when I grew up, there was this belief that if you just raised your kids correctly, then God would honor that. You know, but that clearly hasn't happened. You know, like, well, sorry guys. I'm still waiting for God to convince me. I'm still waiting for a miracle. And when is Jesus going to appear in front of me? You think the creator of the universe would take a little extra time out of, I don't know, the infinity of time and power and presence that he has to like work a freaking miracle in front of me, you know? Oh, nope, still waiting. I actually did that once, guys. I don't know if I've mentioned this on stream, but I distinctly remember when I was a little kid really wanting to have a physical manifestation of a miracle in my life. Because you would read about it in the Bible or hear about it. Sometimes adults would make up stories about miracles they had experienced, or they would have stories that like they would consider a miracle, but it's like that's you know, like not it's almost like people giving like Bigfoot stories, you know, like yeah, I believe you think you saw that, but that doesn't mean that was actually Bigfoot, you know, or like that doesn't mean there was an actual angel in front of you, or and you know, you had a dream, and in the dream some crazy religious stuff happened. Like there's lots of crazy stuff that happens in dreams all the time, you know. How do you know that that was that was God in that dream? Anyways, my experience was that in my desk there was a drawer that had a lock on it, and I remember locking it and thinking to myself, I prayed. I was like, because the adults had taught me that, like, if you just believe, God can work miracles, baby. You just have to pray and believe in God with all your heart. And who better to pray and believe with all their heart than, like, a 7-year-old little boy who doesn't know any better? I was the perfect litmus test. Like, I hadn't yet had the experience, the hard knocks of life, to test my faith. I was pure, baby. I was a pure blood believer. And I prayed and prayed. And I was like, God, if you're there, turn the key in the lock. It was like, I believe you can do it. I need to hear, I need to see this miracle, or I don't know how I worded it. It was probably like, I just want to believe even harder. And I even looked away because I was like, maybe if I'm looking at it, God won't turn it. So I looked away and I prayed. And after, I don't know how long, eventually I realized it wasn't going to happen. So I gave up. See, that's the other thing. Religious people will be like, but there's so many miracles that happen. And I'm like, well, what about all the miracles that don't happen? What about the miraculous healings that don't happen despite, the whole community of people praying for somebody, right? They're like, oh, yeah, well, don't worry about that. God has a plan. They were meant to die of cancer because God loves them or something. I don't know. Like, I mean, come on. It's like, it's very cherry picking, cherry picking the anecdotes that suit your beliefs. But yeah, I know I'm rambling. I gotta wrap this up. So your twin brother called you from prison, 27. He said, so you know how we finish each other's sentences. I like that, 27, because you do have a twin brother. That's a good one. That's a good twin joke. Lorelai, you tried to do faith, but you seem to be missing that part of your brain. Yeah. Mirabelle, the interesting part is that you have to get baptized to get confirmed, and confirmed to have a church wedding. I guess it depends on the church or whatever. I know at least in the US it's all over the place, like what the churches require you to do. Haimo, your family treats you like a bad person because you're a non-believer, and your brother like a good person for pretending to believe, even though he's really a terrible person. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's the other thing with like religious ideology is like it becomes such a divisive issue, right? Like, if you think about it, if the love of Jesus was so powerful and uniting, then why is the whole history of Christianity one of constant infighting and divisions? Like, come on. I mean, I think there definitely are ways in which you can be Christian and like intellectually what's the word, like rigorous, and like and respectful of people, right? And not judge people. But that's not what I'm talking about, right? The vast majority of people in the kind of community I grew up in were not that type of Christian. they were and I mean, it was like very much like that. It was sort of like a bad thing to be this sort of intellectually diplomatic, because that's not a true believer. The true believers are the ones who read the Bible literally and they just believe without even thinking about it. That's what God wants. That's what Jesus wants. And there's plenty of verses where Jesus basically gaslights his disciples, saying like, ye of little faith. When the disciples are like being very reasonable, when they're like, wait a second, Jesus, people are saying you're God or the Son of God, but we don't know about that. Like, you didn't tell us that when you called us to be your followers, And then he's like, well, who do you say I am? And he really kind of tests them in a way that's not very respectful of their intellect, right? And that's a powerful tool that I remember growing up with, like preachers and pastors, especially youth pastors, really tap into this idea of giving yourself completely to Jesus. And if you're having doubts, that's just a sign of Satan trying to pull you away, That's just your fallen human nature that you have to overcome and believe that God will, work a miracle on you and take that desire away or something. I don't know. So yeah, so it can create a lot of division when people have really believe in it so literally, right? I'm rambling. Wait, there seems to be another drone that crashed in Finnish territory today. Wow. The 14-year-old atheist had her confirmation for money in pierced ears. This is a common conversation I have with Finnish people if we start talking about religion, because most of the Finnish people around my age that I've met, they are effectively atheist, right? They don't really believe the Bible or in that Jesus saved. They don't believe in the fundamental whatever Christian beliefs, right? But they all went to confirmation camp. Because this is the one thing religion does really well. They put on like these little camps for kids, and it's just like, and it can be so much fun, and and so yeah, it's like a cultural thing at this point to go to confirmation camp, knowing that you're not actually going to stay in the church, essentially. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not the majority of, when you're that age, you might still genuinely believe that you will be Christian or whatever. I know at least when I was that age, I was a true believer. It wasn't until, even if I had some doubts, it was more just kind of like, well, I'll figure that out when I'm older, or like God will make it clearer to me why having those doubts is wrong. I'm still too young, But then when I got to like high school and then in college, I was like, I'm an adult now. I gotta make a decision. This this is just dumb. I can't keep pretending to believe something that doesn't make sense. I really did probably see Bigfoot once though, Kaimo. Sorry if I'm really behind on the chat. I go on my rambles, but I still want to read everything, even if you wrote it like 10 minutes ago or more. But yeah, Poyu, thanks for saying that. Have I gotten through the Chocolatier set already, Tyler? No, I'm taking a break. I do have it pulled up here. But sometimes I don't know. I'm switching things up. I'm doing these exercises. It's a little bit easier. It's a little, not easier, that some of the exercises are really hard, but it's easier to stay focused when I have, something like this to work on. So that's what I've been doing. But I do watch or listen to the Chocolatier set most days when I have breakfast or lunch. I'll just put it on and listen, even if I don't have time to translate every sentence. Your Jehovah's Witness dad refused to let a doctor give you a blood transfusion when you were passing out from blood loss, but survived. Now that was a miracle. God worked a miracle, but in an unnecessary context, right? It was a completely avoidable miracle, but glad the miracle happened for you, Kaimo. Yeah. If you get an email with the subject knock knock, don't open it. It's Jehovah's Witness working from home. uh, you became an agnostic once you stopped being an edgy teen. Oh god, that 27, that one's like just bought. I wonder if Jehovah's Witnesses will laugh at these jokes. I hope that they laugh at this one. Just bought a Jehovah's Witness themed advent calendar. Behind every door, someone tells you to F off. I mean, because if you think about it from their perspective, like if you extend a little sympathy to the people that, you know, are knocking on doors as Jehovah's Witnesses, it really must be exhausting to have so many people say no and to be like, no, no. Maybe not to say F off. I certainly haven't said that. I have had the Jehovah's Witness knock on my door once, but to their credit, or at least these two guys, they weren't pushy. They were just sort of like, they were nice, you know, they were nice, but I was like, oh, I'm busy, and which was true. I was actually busy with some things, so they gave me their card with a big JW on it. And it has occurred to me, I'm like, maybe I should join just for the social life, you know? Maybe there's some part of my subconscious that was molded by growing up in an ultra religious environment that desperately needs or desperately appreciates the, I don't know, the singing, the worshiping, holding our hands up. Do Jehovah's Witnesses do that? I don't even know what their worship is like. You always listen to him, Zio Bolt. Since he bothered to learn Vietnamese, I was impressed by his effort. So kind of feel obligated to listen to him. Oh, to the Jehovah's Witnesses? If they spoke Vietnamese to you? Yeah. A couple of funerals firmly solidified your atheism, JS. Yeah. Wow, we've hit a lot of topics today. Once we get going, we were talking about schools and prisons, and now religion and drones. And 27 has a sauna in 30 minutes, guys. We got to wrap this up. But no, seriously, I do need to wrap this up. I try to keep the stream only to an hour, but sometimes we're just having too much fun and I can't resist, and we just keep talking. It's a cultural exchange, right? Talking about religious upbringing in America. But yeah, thank you all for following the stream. And yeah, we do this every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Finland time. If you enjoyed the stream, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment if you're watching this maybe in the future. Say that you watched to the end of this one and you enjoyed it. Or not. Maybe you really didn't enjoy it, and that's also fine. I do read all the comments. And yeah, I also stream Stardew Valley. So if you enjoy gaming streams, we're doing a really fun challenge in Stardew Valley. We're role-playing as a grandma who has to give gifts and do special things for all the villagers. And it's actually a really difficult challenge. And we're almost done with it, actually. I don't want to jinx it because we might have to restart if I get careless. But we are, I mean, absurdly meticulous about keeping track of villager birthdays and gifts and help wanted quests. So if you also like checklists and spreadsheets, we're playing Stardew with spreadsheets, essentially. So I do that. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow. Probably not tomorrow, but on Thursdays I do my gaming stream. Also, sometime between 6 and 7, I go live. I post it in the Discord. That's another way you can follow. You can join the Discord. There's a link in the description of this stream. Click that and join. In the announcements channel, I always post there when I'm about to go live. But also, if you have the bell notification on YouTube, maybe you'll get a notification. It works for some people sometimes. But yeah. Hey, going overtime gives you the opportunity to hang out here a bit after work. Thanks. Oh, well, thanks for saying that, Helion. I'm glad. I'm glad it worked out. Yeah. Yeah, the time here is, 8:50 or 20:50. And you guys, some of you do go to the sauna in the morning. I don't have a sauna in my building. So I'm at the mercy of needing friends or public saunas if I want to take a sauna. But yeah, sauna is great. And Mirabelle, you have 3 clocks, but thank you for the reminder. Set your alarm clocks, guys, all right? For when I go live. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, have a good rest of your Tuesday, a good rest of your week if I don't see you until the next live stream, and a happy Easter that's coming up this weekend. So celebrate it, have some fun, and or don't celebrate it. I don't know. We talked about religion quite a bit. Maybe you don't want to celebrate it. And what was I was going to say one other thing. Oh, and I want to say, yes, thank you for 10 years on YouTube. What an incredible journey this has been. I'm really glad that you're all here watching and still encouraging me on the learn Finnish with me journey quest thing. Yeah. Okay, guys. See you in the next one. Goodbye.